It seems like every couple of weeks we get more and more details on exactly what was removed from Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War. Today we're going to be talking about Professor Hulk. He did show up in Avengers Endgame, but as it turns out, they had a very different plan for this character, and they were much further along with him established in Avengers Infinity War than many of us knew. So something that they started to work on in the early days of the MCU was having the Hulk actually be smart. But it took them a little bit longer because they could never fit it into the proper film. They also tried to deal with turning him into the Grey Hulk, as we know from Age of Ultron, and that was actually a complete sequence, but the audiences found it confusing, so they walked that back. So they had to take a step back with the whole Professor Hulk thing. Now, the Avengers Endgame and Infinity War writers, Marcus and McFeely, talk about the exact moment in Avengers Infinity War when Professor Hulk showed up. So in the third act, when we see that Bruce Banner is in the Hulkbuster, this is where it would have happened. Now, previously, we've talked about the scene where the Hulk breaks out of the Hulkbuster and he's wearing that armor. What we didn't know up until now is that this is where Professor Hulk was born. And this is what they said, how they came up with this, and what happened. We screamed bloody murder when it was decided, and we helped decide it. But mostly, we were the last ones in the room, Hulk's transformation at the end of Infinity War. Because it was designed for him to pop out of the Hulkbuster armor as Smart Hulk. And we're going, no, you can't just undo that, because the whole first act of Endgame. And we already shot it. Yeah, we already shot it. How are we going to explain it and all of this stuff? It was much better for the movie if it didn't happen, because it's part of this whole somber end of Act 3. But that was the biggest part that Chris and I were like, they're screwing it up. I completely understand why it got cut, and I think it works actually better without. So if you see the third act of Infinity War where everybody gets snapped, it makes sense. It's a depressed Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. Had it been the Hulk, suddenly he's smart, suddenly Bruce Banner is talking through him, that causes some confusion because everybody's going to want to know what just happened because they don't have time to explain it, and the audiences were just sat there going, okay, so he's smart now, why? While everybody's getting dusted and they're just standing there. So it didn't make sense. And then the way they handle it with the time jump and everything in Endgame, you start to understand that they probably made the best choice possible. I mean, maybe it could have worked the other way, but I think it would have taken a lot away from the actual ending of Infinity War. So I'm glad they did it the way they did. Hopefully, maybe they'll release a deleted scene down the road on Disney Plus or something.